Hey everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a little bit of an under-the-radar review. Today I'm going to be talking about the alternative band Coin and their second studio album called How Will You Know If You Never Try? It's a phrase that we've all heard plenty of times, but they actually work it into one of the songs on the album here, and I like how they make use of that theme throughout. It's something where they seem like maybe they're taking a risk in a relationship or a friendship or even with their music, and I like how it kind of pushes them and their sound. Now, I heard some of the songs for their debut self-titled album that came out in 2015, and I assumed that they were still active, I guess, but I really wasn't seeking them out all that much. I knew them from Alt Nation, I had heard them a few times, and I really didn't care for their song Run all that much, but I gave them another chance. I came back, played their single Talk Too Much, and the first time I heard it, it really wasn't ingrained in me, but it made a lasting impression enough to the fact where I saved it to Spotify, and I started hearing it come up on shuffle, and I was like, you know what? This is very like Walk the Moon inspired. It's something that's spry, kind of has a nice choppy guitar, sounds like it could have been straight out of the 80s, and they definitely have a lot of influences that at times do burden their music, but more often than not, it's fun, it's peppy, and Coin play with a heart. I think for the most part, this album is perfectly fine. I'm not saying that they really push any borders, like I said. Sometimes they do kind of drown in their influences, but they find their niche, they find their sound, and they don't just stay in one lane the entire time. They kind of cruise around the freeway, and while in real life that would be dangerous, here it makes it interesting. Now, just like with Walk the Moon, if their entire album Talking Is Hard had just played to one style of the 80s, something like Everything Was Trying to Be Shut Up and Dance, I don't think the album would have worked. But the thing is, they branched out, they tried everything from synth pop to alternative and just kind of peppy, catchy pop rock stuff, and that's what made it so much fun and one of my favorite albums of 2014. And I'm really hoping that they come out with more material soon. I know I'm talking more about Walk the Moon than Coin, but I'm saying that they are influenced by that style. And here, it seems like they diversified just like Walk the Moon did. And there's tracks on here that'll really surprise you from the band, especially if you've been keeping up with them for a while. They definitely pushed themselves, and especially on the closing track, which is about 5.5 minutes. It's one called Malibu 1992, and it sees them kind of channeling something more of like a slow burn effect. It's much calmer, it kind of has an aura and an atmosphere about it, and they do kind of set the tone with the final two songs that close out the record. It's something that is very California themed and influenced, talking about kind of life and the way things were and growing into these situations that have come to be, and I feel like those are some of my favorites on this record, and honestly, it kind of goes on a little bit of a win streak towards the end. Now, before I round out this review with some more positive thoughts to close it out, I do have to make a few criticisms, some things that brought down the album overall for me, and this album is only 11 songs. It did feel a bit lengthy, it felt a bit tedious and a bit too repetitive. Some of the songs sounded very akin and similar to each other, and that brought down the enjoyment level for me. It's not something that's so blatant that it's just like, I can't stand this, but it's something where you're sitting there listening to it and you can easily zone out. In fact, I could almost describe this as background music in places. It's something that's definitely fun. If you're playing this with friends or at a party, I don't think anybody's going to be unhappy with the selection you've made. But does it stand out? Does it always present itself as something that you just have to be paying attention to? No. And I think the tracks that are kind of the biggest culprits here come towards the end of the record, kind of more in the middle section, and those are Hard Eyes and Lately. Now, Lately is actually Lately Part 2, and that is a follow-up to an album that appeared on their self-titled debut. So I see that they're keeping things going here. They're keeping the fire lit with, I suppose, the correlating storyline here, but it really just doesn't present itself as that urgent of a tune. You've got some opening electronics, kind of a little bit of a downtrodden swell to the track, but overall, I don't feel invested in either that or else Hard Eyes either. Really, the lyrical content doesn't stand out, and that's something that is a weakness in places for Coin. They don't really have that strong of like a writing palette all the time, but they make catchy songs, and it really does make up for it in places to make you not pay attention to it as much. But whenever I find the music less interesting, that's when my eyes kind of hone in on this one particular thing, because it leaves us the lyrics to focus on, and they don't hold up here. I feel like I've heard the song Hannah before. The musicality is all too familiar. The lyrics are talking about being there for this friend or maybe this ex-flame or something, and it's earnest enough. I think its heart's in the right place, but overall I think it does kind of bring down the song for me just because it feels like, I don't know, like I said, this is familiar. This is something I've heard somewhere else. How Will You Know If You Never Try definitely does have its strengths though. Songs like Boyfriend are so infectious that you just can't resist that 4 on the floor beat that makes you want to dance instantly. Don't Cry 2020 was a pleasant enough opener. It's something that I don't find to be extremely memorable. I have a hard time kind of singling out, wait, which one was that again? But whenever I play it, it's breezy, it's fun, and it gets you into the album. It prepares you for exactly what's to come on this record with kind of the floating vibes, the nice fun parts like Talk Too Much. Fantastic single, one of my favorite songs of last year, and it still holds true. It's something that I can play all the time. And I actually heard, I know a lot of people will probably wonder my opinion on this, I heard the Patrick Stump remix. I don't like it that much. It just tried to mix up the song too much and give it a different flair, and it didn't fit. Remixes can be great. This one just didn't work for me. I already mentioned loving the closing to this record. I think it does have a very strong finish to it. Kind of a nice 1-2 combo after a couple of tracks that kind of got lost in the mud along the way. But the final song that I do want to focus on for just a minute and give some praise and love to comes right in the middle of the record. And it's probably my favorite alongside Talk Too Much. This one is called Are We Alone? And what I really like here is that it comes through with a clear-cut message, and it's got a great vibe to it musically as well. This track is talking about, like, are we actually alone? He's singing about maybe this person he's with, presumably a love interest, saying to this girl, are we actually here? You're staring at your phone, you know, you wanted to hang out essentially, you wanted to be together, but are we actually together with all of these distractions, whether it be a phone, a tablet, a computer, a television, whatever it is. There's so many things and there's so many sights to distract us from the actual sight in front of you, and I love that they come through with that. I love the song last year, Mr. Know-It-All by Young the Giant, because it came through with something similar, and in this day and age, it's ever important to actually focus on building real relationships, and I like seeing a band or artist tackle this topic. That's my take on the Sophomore album by alternative band Coin. How will you know if you never try? Keep in mind, it was all just my opinion. I want to know about yours as well. Let me know in the comment section, and let me know with a like on the video that you did enjoy this review and you want to see me keep covering smaller bands like this. If you would, if you're able to, help me out on Patreon. It's the top link in the description down below. Help me keep making videos like this on a monthly basis, or you can click in just a minute on the outro card whenever we cut to that. For this album in particular, I'm gonna have to go with a 3 out of 5 for the rating. I just didn't feel like it grabbed me overall, and while there's some killer songs that I'm gonna pull off of here, save in a playlist, I just don't think overall there's an urgency that just screams listen to me over and over and over again. My Patreon is that annotation over there in the corner. If you want to see another review that I did recently on the channel, click right here, or an episode of Ranked that I recently had to re-upload, then click right here. All of my social media is linked in the description, and other than that, I'm gonna see you guys very soon right here on ARTV.